Buenas tardes, good afternoon, and welcome to the Grand Rapids Community College Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, February 16th, 2026. Do any board members or Dr. Triesenberg have guests in the audience that they would like to introduce? I see none on the trustees side. However, I do have some guests that I would like to introduce. As many of you know, this is my first board meeting as chair, and I have invited some of my closest people to join me, at least for the beginning. And the folks that you see out there, maybe they can raise their hand, is my father, Salvador, my mother, Maria, my wife, Megan, my daughter, Isabela, my daughter, Sofia, and my son, Julian. I appreciate them all being here. If you don't mind joining me and giving them a warm round of applause. As many of you know, from GRCC student to GRCC chair, it is a big deal in my family and in my community, and so we wanted to make sure that we recognized it accordingly. So very thankful to be in the role, very honored, and I look forward to continuing the great work that has been done in the past. Our first order of business today is the approval of the agenda. Trustees, please note that this is the time to remove any item from the consent agenda for separate consideration if necessary. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections of the agenda?
Motion to approve.
All right, seeing none. Oh, all right, is there any discussion? Please note that any discussion should be directly related to an individual trustee's support or opposition of the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Now we will open the meeting up for public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board, you may do so at this time. Please note that this is the time that the board will hear comments specifically related to today's board agenda. There will be an additional open comment later in the meeting that allows for public comment on any matter. Please come to the podium and state your name. I remind you that all comments are limited to 3 minutes, and the board will not respond to your comments at this time. Seeing none, and none of my kids came up here, so that's always a good start. Now on to the special order of business. We'll start with the Public Safety Advisory Committee. GRCC Police Chief Rebecca Whitman, please come to the podium.
Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for having me. This is the time of year where I come before you to ask for your approval and appointment of this year's Public Safety Advisory Committee. This year's slate is Dr. Grant Snyder, Dr. Wesley Fox, Dr. Nikki Smith, and Hillary Haney. There has been one change from last year, from the last couple of years, and that is Dr. Wesley Fox is replacing Dave Salmon, who I would just like to publicly thank for his years of service to this committee. It's not a heavy lift, it's not a lot of meetings, but his willingness and all of their willingness to commit to this is important to us, so we appreciate him.
I appreciate the note about Dave, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So at this point, may I have a motion to approve the appointment of the 2026 Public Safety Advisory Committee members as presented?
So moved. Second.
I hear a second. All right. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now on to the single audit. John Globaker, Vice President of Finance and Administration, please come to the podium to present.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President Triesenberg, Amy. It's great to be before you. Wanted to share with you our single audit, which is our audit of our federal funds from fiscal year 25 that ended June 30th, 2025. Plant Moran, who was here in the fall presenting on our college audit, also conducted our federal funds audit this go round, and reviewed all of our federal funds that were received by the institution in fiscal year 25. They were focused on two major clusters within. Those include the Student Financial Assistance Cluster, that includes Pell Grants, Federal Work Study, direct loans, and then also the Michigan Reconnect expansion, which has temporarily expanded that type of support to those that are 21 to 24 years of age, down from the existing 25 age eligibility. Federal funds received. So this is just to give you scope and scale of the impact that the federal funds have here at Grand Rapids Community College. We received $43.7 million in federal funds last fiscal year, which is a 27% increase over the prior fiscal year. Of that, 5.7 million was increased in the student financial assistance cluster, around Pell Grants and the like, and that also we had an increase of $3 million in the Michigan Reconnect expansion. So the good part, audit findings. Not that that was a bad part before, but the audit findings, no material weaknesses, no sufficient deficiencies, no audit findings, an unmodified opinion, which is the highest possible rating we received in our federal financial awards audit. So based on that, if you have no further questions or any questions, we ask that the board accept this report and approve the single audit from fiscal year 25.
Looking around here.
I have a question about why do we separate this out from the regular audit, so to speak?
Absolutely. Well, there are separate compliance standards that are set by the federal government around the audit process, and this year's compliance information was out late from the federal government, which then required Plant Moran to pause until they were able to receive that reporting.
Thank you.
We noted that the amount received was up 20-something%. What drove the increase?
Well, in two areas, student financial assistance cluster. So we see growth in students eligible for like Pell Grants, anything that's related to Title IV funding, and then Reconnect expansion.
That makes sense. Yeah.
With that temporary expansion of the ages. Mm-hmm.
For that increase, John, could the increase from previous years, so to speak, be translated into percentages of students served?
Well, I do have one data point off the top of my head. Our Pell Grant eligibility is around 37.1% of our student body is eligible for Pell Grants.
If I may speak to that point as well, Trustee Siegel, some of it is an increase in the number of Pell eligible students, and some of it is an increase in the number of credits that the students enrolled. So the average number of credits enrolled in by Pell students went up. Mm-hmm. And so it's more students taking more courses.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I have a motion to accept the single audit as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And then John, up next, please provide the 2025-26 mid-year budget review.
Okay. All right. So mid-year budget amendment. It's that time of year to bring forward to the board an amendment to our original budget that was approved last June. And joining me here at the podium is Nat Lloyd, our Director of Budget and Business Services, who will take you through a journey within the slide deck to talk about the budget amendment process, what we learned, and then the recommendations that we're presenting to you two as a board.
Good evening. Here I am again with another great update. I think, as in many of our past years, things are going well, and so that's a great thing to be able to report. So we've got some increases. Even just bouncing to my other first, you've gotten all that good news now of our hitting our targets and our goals with enrollment, and so you can see there's a big increase there because of it. And we originally had budgeted to be flat, so that really then causes a larger number there. It's kind of hard for us to figure out what that would look like in the future to say, anything up or down with the way it is now. So we've been sticking with that kind of philosophy going into the year, that we'd stay flat, and then figure it out as we went. But the last couple of years, it just continues to go up. And same with, property taxes up. Again, last few years, we've seen a higher increase. That's actually means that up over 1%. We had estimated 4, it's 5. So it's a increase. It's a additional 1%. But property values being what they've been has been causing this number to push up. State appropriations are up largely due to a couple of different factors. There's been a lot. Last year we reported a big shift in how MIPSers was done, and so then you're seeing this MIPSers offsets. There were probably a little bit of us being cautious. We didn't know what was going to come in, and so we try to track what's going to come in. So those offsets are part of that. The base is just the base. The UAAL, you may recall, it means also $2 million of expense, so it's a little more of an accounting number. So that the full $3.7 million you see there is a little bit of an illusion in that regard. But the PPT number, we always try to come in a little lower than what we think it's going to be, just to be careful. We've seen some other places go a little too hard in on that, and we don't want to do that. But only up 500 shows that we were being a little less cautious this year, because in past years we'd say it was an extra $1 million or $1.5 million, even though it's pretty close to. We're looking at it to be pretty close to where it's been coming in. I want to talk a little bit more about this interest, because that $400,000 it's a little bit of a tip of the iceberg. The total amount that we're estimating it to go up is more like $1.7 million. When we book our investment earnings and interest, a portion goes to the general fund, and that's this portion. That's 400. 300 will go to parking, and then another 1.1 million into the plant fund based on fund balances. So it's really doing well. And I just thought I'll just take 1 minute here to talk a little bit about how our investments work. PFM the people who do it, whatever that word is, but we work with. They've done a fantastic job since we started using them shortly after I got here, probably 8 years ago. And so there's about 60% of what we have we put in what we call the core fund, and that's a 3 to 5 year time frame, and they invest all of that. And when I say invest, we are only allowed what the Michigan Community College Act says we can use, which is all fixed assets. It's not very glamorous, but when you look on the monthly report, you can see that there's still a whole bunch of things that I wouldn't know what to do with. So I'm glad that we have them to do it. When I first got here, you see like CDs, that was about all, that kind of thing, commercial paper, but now very sophisticated. So I wanted to point that out, and we kind of balance that out based on our long-term projections. Another 10% cash and liquid, like PNC is our bank, and so we use that. They've got a sweep fund, and so we get some pretty good interest there. The other portion, the other 30%, goes into something called term, which is offered by PFM, and that is a really nifty little pool of assets. It takes all of those sorts of things that we're allowed to go into, whether it's a CD or a commercial paper or whatever. And we just see a number where it says, hey, if you want to put money in, I might say, well, we have $1 million and I will put it in to come good due in June. And that's all I need to tell them. And then it's in there, we get whatever interest they said, and I get it back in June. And we don't have to worry about anything else. So that's the other portion, and it allows me to ladder out our cash in conjunction with the cash flow worksheets that we use and that kind of thing. So it allows us to really maximize, I think, our interest in investment earnings in that way. So just thought I'd kind of go into that a little bit for you. Moving on to the next one, there's that other 2 million, the other side of that UAAL. The health insurance one, it's kind of a weird one. So you may recall last year there was going to be some legislation that might have increased the healthcare cost. We also had run into where the cap that we could expense only went up a tiny bit, and we were shocked. We didn't know that. So between the timing of when these things all came out and then not knowing with that legislation, we really overestimated. Turns out we were being really, really extra careful, and things did not fall as we needed them to. So it's not that we're paying that much less, it's just the estimate pulled out and getting it right. So it looks good on but it's an extra $1 million, but it's really, we're going along as we normally would. And then I'm going to kind of pull you through when you hopefully vote to approve our packet, the budget. In it will be a few, as there always are, a few additions. These are some of the recurring ones. Athletics is a few years ago, you may recall that we moved to our conference realigned, so we had to travel a lot to the UP, which is really expensive. And long story short, it's more expensive, and things got a lot more expensive over the last few years. So we're really trying to right size what it costs. It's just gone up a lot, and so that's on there. The Tri-Share program is kind of a neat one. It's a new thing. The state's going to pay a third, the employer pays a third, the employee pays a third for a new child care program. So that's it's new. That's what I know about it, this end of it. But it's out there. Sponsorships, it's been a kind of definitely a point of emphasis lately, and we just want to make sure we can cover a kind of what we want to do in the community with that. So I think some of these things are fairly self-explanatory, but there's punching up a couple of them there. Positions, we're always careful here because we know that this is a difficult area to look into, and talking about tip of the icebergs, there's certainly a lot of them that we would love to do, but we really try to focus on what is needed. Like for instance, that second one, and then you'll see a couple slides later that education training specialist. There's another one called customized training business solutions, both in the same area, but they're coming off of a grant, and we really just felt like we needed to keep that work going. So you're going to see two of them in there. One is in a different fund, so it's covered by other revenue sources, but one's here. So there's a couple of needs there. But like I said, this is all we've got on there compared to maybe some other ones that didn't get on there, and we'll obviously be coming back to you in a couple of months with some more ideas. One time, I'm not going to go into all of these, but the ERP system. So a couple of years ago, we approved a chunk of funds to bring a group in called Sierra Cedar, and they ran a whole gamut of tests, and everyone was invited, different departments, and they talked to us and grilled us and went through the whole thing. And at the end, we ended up with a huge list of things that we wanted to get done in PeopleSoft to improve these systems, and this is to pay for that work to get done. Couple of the highlights, are that we are going to implement a new timesheet system, which will be in PeopleSoft, which will make it all easier to run than compiling it from all the spreadsheets, which is a little bit less elegant. And we're also going to have a system to manage our contracts in there. So that's just a couple of the highlights. This won't all go out this year. There'll be some carryover into next year, some rollover as well. Other fund additions, the top couple are just scope increases. When we first brought the Reno project for the admin building, it was mostly thought of as we just need new furniture, maybe some new carpets, some of the basics, and we didn't really know how much even that would cost. So we But we determined that after, 15 years in this building, that it was time to do some more extensive work to really maximize what we're doing in the space. And so we had all kinds of different meetings, and the departments that work there were able to give feedback. And so we've got those things, plus we've got some walls moving and some different things happening. So this is a nice kind of a one-shot, let's get ourselves caught up in that. The parking one, we don't always report everything that goes into the parking, but this is an interesting one where some of this equipment is really getting out of date, and it's time to replace. These gate arm replacements are this year. There'll be some more things in next year's as well, but it all comes out of the parking fund. There'll be, this is just to keep the parking moving, I guess. And there's that other position that I had mentioned, and that comes out of the designated fund. So now I'll let John take the horse into the barn.
Thank you, Nat. So some things that we're looking forward to, legislative budget recommendations. The Governor Whitmer has put forward some recommendations. Of course, we'll be waiting for the Senate and the House of Representatives to put forward their budget recommendations, and then there will be the whole budget process. We hope certainly to not have a repeat of last year with the delayed budget, and hopefully they can work those things out more quickly. Revenue Consensus Conference. These are conferences put on by the state that help us to look at economics. If certain revenue streams that the state is projecting are not coming in to budget, or if they're actually exceeding budget. So we keep our eyes on that as well to make sure that we're in tune with what's happening economically at the state, to see how that might impact the college. And then just looking forward, from this point forward, next month, we will be bringing forward a tuition recommendation, budget work session in early part of May, and then we'll have the final budget presentation in June. So prior to us asking for your approval or consideration of the mid-year budget, might you have any questions or comments?
What's UAAL?
I believe it stands for underfunded accrual, something liability.
That's all right, I don't understand.
It means it's an accounting number.
Yeah, it's unfunded actuarial accrued liability.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? All right. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution of the 2025-2026 mid-year budget as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Support.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. John, we'll go back to you now for an update on the Michigan New Jobs Training Program Agreement. And I'll say that again, the Michigan, this took me a minute, actually, this is related to Cheryl, but the Michigan New Jobs Training Program Agreement that we'll be referencing from this point forward as MNJTP. So there's another one. So John, take it from here.
We love our acronyms for sure. So yes, the Michigan New Jobs Training Program is really a great program that the state has made available to community colleges and the workforce and businesses that they work hard to support. I want to make sure that it would be remiss in not saying our workforce training group at MTech are working very diligently and hard each and every day to support the 15 active projects that we have. In total, we've had 34 total projects over the history of the program, and then we'll be bringing 2 more today to you, additional, and then an amendment of a project. And so MNJTP basically distills down to an employer who's approved diverts tax dollars, payroll tax dollars, from the new employees that are hired to this pool of funds in which we're the fiduciary. They can use those funds then to support training efforts here at the college or other institutions, or they can contract that out to third parties. but it helps them fund the training efforts for their new employees to build the workforce here in West Michigan. So we've just been allocated another $500,000. So the state has a queue system that is repeated throughout the year whenever additional funding is made available. We have $500,000 allotment. Our folks in workforce work with businesses to determine how best to allocate those funds. Could be through new training agreements, as we present today, 2 new ones, or through existing ones and amendments. So the first one, I'll run through just kind of a summary of each of those, and then we can circle back to the resolutions, each of those individually. But it's really important to recognize the companies that are impacted. So Apex Controls, it's really nice to know who they are. What do they do? They provide automation solutions and control systems serving the automotive, food and beverage, and pharmaceutical medical industries. They operate in Ottawa County. I highlight the county because newer agreements are subject to the ALICE payroll rates. So that's important to know. When you're looking at your packets, you'll see an hourly rate. It's driven by the county. And through this agreement, they're looking to add 18 new jobs over 3 years. So $150,000 total agreement value. And the training would include NEO, new hire orientation, very job-specific trainings, equipment-specific certification, and safety training. So that's Apex. Coops Incorporated. Again, I'd like to highlight what Coops does. Designs and builds automation systems for automotive, aerospace, battery manufacturing, and energy storage. They operate in Allegan County, which has an impact on that ALICE rate, and is expecting to add 36 positions over the 3 years. Agreement value of $150,000. And their training plans include NEO, lockout, tagout training, AMR robots, safety, and degree certification and completion courses. And then finally, mission design and automation. We have a current agreement with them. Originally was a $300,000 agreement. We're looking to expand that, amend it by $200,000. They've done so well with the funds that they've had, nearly exhausting the $300,000 to date. They design and integrate custom automation solutions for diverse industries, including food and beverage, medical devices, and automotive. And their list of training, going back to the original agreement, is very quite extensive. So I'll pause there. Are there any questions or comments that you might have? And then my ask to the board is to individually seek approval for those resolutions that are included in your packet.
Where is Mission? Which county is that in?
I should know that off the top of my head. And they are not subject to ALICE because the agreement started prior to.
Okay, thank you.
That's why I didn't have that to know.
Thanks. Thanks.
What is the application process for one of these companies to get access to those dollars?
It's a great question. If I could ask Megan to join me, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Megan Conahan, Customized Training Manager in the School of Workforce Training. When a company is interested in potentially starting a Michigan New Jobs Training Agreement, they do what is called a intent to engage application. That kind of sets the level of employees that they have and puts them kind of in a formal waiting list. And then from that point, once we're informed that we can start an agreement, that there's the funding available, then we work with the companies to determine what kind of training they might need, general, funds amount and things like that, and then we do the agreement that you have in front of you, and then we work with outside counsel to make sure that that's all put together. Similar agreement language for every new project.
Is it a competitive process? Is it first come, first serve? How does that work?
It is. It's not competitive. It's first come, first serve. So we do run a list of companies that have expressed interest, and then when a funding round comes around, we go in order and start new projects as we're able to.
And last question, how are these dollars advertised to the community? Like, this is a program that's available to you as an organization. Like, how do they find out about that?
A lot of different ways. So they're Michigan Community College Association promotes it. We promote it within our work within the School of Workforce Training. We have information on our website. And we do a lot of work individually with companies, just making sure that they understand the resources that the community college can provide, but also our local partners. So we rely on a lot of our partners to help spread the word about that as well.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further questions or comments being raised, we're going to tackle each of these individually. So may I have a motion to adopt the Apex Controls MNJTP resolution as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to make an observation. This is just a comment that it might be worth looking at going forward to at least have one of these organizations be here in Kent County, which is the primary, source for GRCC. I'm not sure how that would look or the mechanics of that. I just wanted to make that observation.
Appreciate that. All those in favor?
To your point, I'm assuming that we have Kent County companies on the list.
Yeah, we have 15 active projects. I don't have the full list in front of me.
Yeah.
Some are within Kent County.
Okay.
Other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the Coops Inc. MNJTP resolution as presented?
So moved.
Support.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion to adopt the Mission Design and Automation MNJTP resolution as presented?
So moved.
Second,
Support.
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Now, on to the Learning Resource Center SBA project. John again.
Thank you. So as we're continuing our project with the Learning Resource Center that we so gratefully see all the steel work that's happening and all the work that's going on in the interior, we're making significant progress. As part of that process is the state's need for basically a construction and completion assurance resolution, and that allows them to move on to the next step. So what we're asking the board to approve today are a few things. So first, we agree to complete the work. Sounds simple, but it's important that we agree to that. We also agree the conveyance of authority. So once the work is completed, we're transferring the deed to the state for that building. And that's held temporarily at the state until which they pay the bond back. So the state of Michigan is paying the state building authority throughout the debt financing in order to pay back the debt itself. Once that is paid off in full, then the deed is transferred back to the college. But during that time, it's transferred to the state. And we're leasing it back, but we're not making the payment. The state of Michigan is making the payment. The authority, the SBA, has authorized just shy of $16.8 million toward the project. We as an institution are contributing $18.2 million. So also in addition, the approval is seeking delegated authority. So beyond this date, there will be need for documents to be signed, and the delegation to the president or the vice president of finance and administration will be delegated with your approval of the resolution. It also confirms obligations under the construction agreement and lease through the actions of the authorized officers, which would be the president or vice president of finance administration. And the documents listed there will be the documents that will be executing. The timeline So today, we're looking at requesting your approval of the resolution. In a couple months, the next steps will take place, which will be the signing of the construction and completion assurance agreement. And then toward the closing, or the completion of the project, will be the second closing date in order to sign the lease and the deed over to the state. So if there are questions or comments that you have, otherwise my ask of the board would be to consider approval of the resolution to allow the project to move forward.
John, what do you estimate, or maybe it's said in statute, the time frame between the state, how long will it take the state to pay down the bond so that GRCC gets the deed back?
Yeah, I think in the materials it reads up to 40 years.
Thank you.
This is more of a comment for me, but I recently took a tour of the Resource Learning Center, and I think Vicky is here somewhere, but she held a really good tour, and I can confirm that it does need to be completed, the construction. And so I appreciate you saying that. But if there are no other comments or questions, I'll keep it moving here. May I have a motion to adopt the construction and completion assurance agreement resolution for the GRCC Learning Resource Center as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John. We will now move to approve the consent items. May I have a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. On to purchases of over $100,000. The details of purchases exceeding $100,000 are in today's board packet and in the monthly report submitted previously for November and December. For the record, between the last board meeting and today, there were several $100,000 purchases that were time sensitive, and approval by the board chair and president was requested electronically. Those can also be found in today's packet. May I have a motion to approve the purchases of over $100,000 as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? Please note that any discussion should be directly related to an individual trustee's support or opposition of the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. On to the policy review. May I have a motion to take from the table the updated board policies of board job description, president's job description, and monitoring executive performance that were tabled at the November 17, 2025 board meeting?
So moved.
May I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. At this point, I would like to invite Vice Chair Brian Smith to present on the board policy updates.
Just very quickly, I'll just echo what Chair Lopez said, that it's best practices for a policy board like we are here at GRCC to review its board policies on a rotating basis. We, in November, looked at the three that were mentioned by Chair Lopez, the board job description board policy, the president's job description policy, and then monitoring executive performance policy. The board's policies are sort of our Rosetta Stone, if you will. They are the way that we guide the executive and the leadership team here at the college. So those are the three policies we looked at in November, and that's what we're voting on here.
All right. So we'll vote on each individually, unless there's further discussion. All in favor of approving the board job description board policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor of approving the president's job description board policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor of approving the monitoring executive performance board policy, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I would now like to invite Dr. Triesenberg to present his president report.
And with your permission, I'll use the podium to do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, good afternoon, trustees and audience. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to present to you as the interim president of GRCC. Winter semester now is well underway. We're 2 weeks away from spring break, and the weather is starting to feel like that. We did lose a few days to inclement weather. We had to close the campus on 4 days already this year, and I don't want to do that anymore. In my report to the board, I'd like to link my comments and those that follow from others to how the board evaluates the work of the president and to our strategic plan goals. And so you'll see in our comments today institutional reports that reflect on how the college is achieving its ends or its strategic goals. And you'll see monitoring reports that demonstrate that we meet the executive limitation policies of the board. And the reasons we do this are to help ensure that the board has what they need to exercise their fiduciary responsibilities. It sets a pattern for our incoming president and establishes a basis for assessing the president's performance. The strategic plan goals are listed here. You're familiar with these, you've seen them often. Teaching and learning, completion, equity, community impact, infrastructure, and sustainability. And each of those has 3 or 4 priorities underneath it. So one of the things I want to highlight today is Learning Day and Opening Day, which was January 7, just before the winter semester began. The day opened with a marketplace of tables that the units and departments had to display their work and then talk about that with their colleagues. I think that was a real hit. That's something that they'll likely repeat in future years. We were pleased to have the outgoing chair and incoming chair present. Thank you for that. That meant a lot to the college community. Our new president was there. We could introduce her as well. And we introduced the River Raider as our new mascot. And you've seen that in stickers, in t-shirts, in posters, on websites, and there'll be a lot more of that to come. And then the day itself was filled with workshops and school meetings. And the notation in the bottom corner there is just my way of keeping track of which of the strategic plan goals and the priorities underneath them are tied to the things that we're presenting here. A brief recap of our winter enrollment. Our enrollment this winter is nearly the same as it was last winter. We're pleased with that status. The head count is about the same. The number of credits has increased, reflecting the fact that many of our students are taking more courses per student. At the Lakeshore, the enrollment continues to grow as well. We saw this in the fall semester, continue to see that in the spring. The MTech enrollment is up just a little bit as well. We also track our fall to winter retention. That is, how many of the students who were here in fall semester and able to come back in the next semester did so. We're in the 77 to 78% range, down just a little bit from last year. We'd like to hit a goal of 80% continuation from fall to winter.
What do you think it's going to take to hit the goal?
Some of that is continuing to support the students in their basic needs so that they aren't stepping out of college because they can't afford it. Some of that is continued counseling and advising to stay on the pathway, and then monitoring transfer changes as well. Supporting the strategic plan are 5 overarching principles, 2 of which are highlighted here. First is that our belief that every faculty member and staff member is part of the education that our students receive, and then that enrollment is a focus for all of our GRCC stakeholders. And so to your question, Trustee Brame, the enrollment questions are not a matter for our enrollment managers and our registrars to pay attention to, but all of us taking a part in ensuring that students know what their next steps can be and encouraging them to sustain their education. We've been active in advocating for GRCC with our legislators. We hosted a luncheon at the 2nd of February for the legislators, primarily from the state of Michigan, but also with staff members from the national legislators, the congressional staff. They got to walk through the Learning Resource Center in its present state, and I think they would agree it does need some completion. But they were thrilled with what they saw there, and I think good for them to see that as an indication of the state's investment in GRCC. And then last week, we were at several of the trustees and I were at a national legislative summit, and Chair Lopez is going to give a brief summary of our work there in his remarks later. Of course, we're very excited with the advent of our new president. Dr. Catherine Rogalski will be GRCC's 12th president. We're supporting that leadership transition in ways I'll describe in just a moment. She will begin her term on March 2, and I will conclude my work with the college on March 31, so we'll have a month of overlap together to foster that transition. That transition is being led by a planning team chaired by Chair Lopez from the Board of Trustees and Dr. Nigel Likely, our Vice President for People, Culture, and Equity. And they've mapped out two dimensions of the planning here. First, a time-based dimension, looking at what should happen in the first 30, 60, 90, 120 days. And then looking at what kinds of connections should fill those windows. Who are the people internal to the college? Who are the people external to the college who should interact with the incoming president? And finally, a repository of lots of information and lists and processes that the new president should be informed about. I have a long list of celebrations. I could go on for the next hour telling you about all of the good things that are happening at the college. I'm just going to highlight three today. Our student Caleb Gomez won the collegiate division of the student composition contest, which is organized by the Piano Teachers Forum of Grand Rapids, and there'll be a performance of that composition later this spring. GRCC has been redesignated as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense. That's another indication of our expertise and our excellence in the computer realm. And finally, I want to highlight that among the Giants Awards from a couple of weeks ago is our trustee, Kenyatta Brame, and his leadership of the Omega Scouts. Trustee, you make us proud.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, we will see some monitoring reports and some institutional reports that are listed here, along with the strategic goals that they support. We'll come to those in just a moment, but I'll pause here to see if there are questions on my remarks from the trustees.
So earlier today, you showed us some material where individuals who go to GRCC can make significantly more than individuals who just graduate from high school. And as we look at just the enrollment numbers, what are ways that we can make sure that high school students get that message?
So the information we reported earlier had to do with the earnings test for certain programs of the college. It doesn't reflect the data for the college as a whole. But I think it is important for us to show to prospective students that there are good opportunities here and that the training programs, the certificates, the degrees that we offer here do lead to better wages, better paying jobs. No further questions. We'll turn next to I'm not sure what's on the list first. Is it the monitoring reports or the institutional reports?
Monitoring.
On to me, right?
The monitoring.
Let me check my schedule.
Institutional report.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Item back what's on my slide. And so if we may call Ann Isaacson to the podium to report on the Strategic Enrollment Management Report.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to present today on GRCC's strategic enrollment and retention efforts. The Strategic Enrollment and Retention Management Plan is a Goal 4 Community Impact Priority 1 strategic initiative within our overall 2023-2028 strategic plan. And we have another acronym to introduce. We call it the CERM plan. I co-chair this work with my colleagues who are in the audience this afternoon, Lori Cook, who is our Executive Director of Enrollment Services, as well as Dr. Dwayne Jenkins, our Dean of Students. Today's presentation is intended to provide a broad overview of what we call our CERM process, explaining its interconnection with GRCC's institutional goals, and highlighting cross-campus efforts underway to support enrollment and retention. A strategic enrollment and retention plan is intended to serve as a roadmap to enrollment stabilization. And just as a GPS in our cars nimbly adjusts our driving routes based on road conditions, so too must our CERM plan help us avoid or minimize the impact of changing market conditions. It includes short-term and long-term strategies and actions to improve student access and enrollment, retention and persistence, completion and advancement. CERM planning aligns with GRCC's core institutional goals. While addressing institutional sustainability needs, this work also supports key elements of our mission and vision, specifically access to higher education, meeting community needs, fostering student success, and educational goal attainment. It guides the development, implementation, and assessment of enrollment and retention strategies and specific tactics. It's data-informed, considering student preferences and needs, such as course offerings that meet working or parenting student schedules, as well as their desired methods of information sharing and support services. It also considers external factors, such as demographic changes. We've all heard a lot about the enrollment cliff. It addresses increasing competition from our four-year institutions locally who might be expanding into dual enrollment or workforce training programs, and also public concerns about the value of higher education. CERM planning goals align directly with progress metrics established through GRCC's overall strategic planning process. These include increasing the number of prospective students that transition to admitted students, increasing enrollment, reducing course failure and withdrawal rates, increasing semester to semester and year-to-year retention rates, and improving completion and advancement. Finally, as Dr. Triesenberg showed earlier, one of our overarching principles for our college strategic plan is that enrollment is a focus of all GRCC stakeholders. Our CERM planning is intended to foster cross-campus collaboration to meet these goals. One or two offices can't do it alone. We all have to work together on this. In fact, CERM planning directly connects with over 50% of the college's strategic plan initiatives. At the start of our CERM planning process, which began a couple of years ago, GRCC engaged with an external consultant to conduct research and make recommendations related to the focus of this initial work. Their research included failure to appear interviews with stopout students, a student onboarding review, secret shopper research conducted via phone and online, a brand audit, and a media preference survey. And this led to the development of pillars of work, which primarily focused on marketing and recruitment, including the college branding, teaching and learning, with a specific emphasis on encouraging student momentum and accelerating completion, and retention, mainly barrier and equity gap removal. As noted earlier, cross-campus collaboration is a critical component of supporting the CERM plan and advancing related initiatives. And this happens daily in our work by individual faculty and staff members, division and departmental activities, cross-campus committees, strategic initiative teams, and collaborations that we have with external organizations. At the top of this slide and the next few, you'll see a green bar that approximates the percentage complete of these initial focus areas. Beneath the bar, you'll see related cross-campus work, either completed as denoted with a check mark or in progress, that support these focus areas. Rather than reading each aloud, I'll simply pause a few moments on each slide. And we'll begin here first with the marketing and recruitment focus. And another slide with that same focus. And then teaching and learning and our progress there with key initiatives.
The items with check marks next to them are things that are completed, the boxes
Yes.
pending. Thank you.
And this is a combination of other strategic initiatives, strategies, and initiatives that are part of the plan, really a view of campus-wide activities that support this work. More on teaching and learning progress. And finally, our retention progress.
So for example, mental health support is not checked. That means that there's criteria we've set and we haven't hit them all. So is everything so you know what you want to do to get that box checked?
Yeah, that is a strategic initiative we have at the college through our strategic plan, and that group is moving forward, but there is still more work to do. But we've put considerable effort into that. In fact, most recently hired 2 new counselor positions to support that work. And so our next steps. As you can see, there's been a lot of good work in progress, but much that we also continue to do. The next phase of our SERM planning will have a heightened focus on retention and completion. We have a consultant who's now helping us to document the student life cycle from post-admission through graduation, considering our primary campus locations, including MTech and Lakeshore, as well as the individual experiences of specific student cohorts, such as our first-generation students, adult learners, English language learners, to name just a few. The intended outcome of this work is to further reveal retention-related student barriers and to identify ways to both reduce those barriers and improve student support services for them. Finally, what we hope to share here today was that GRCC is actively engaged in strategic enrollment and retention management planning. Our planning is data-informed and guides the development, implementation, and assessment of related strategies. Our key focus areas have included marketing, recruitment, teaching and learning, and retention, and that there's significant collaborative work that's happening across our campus community to advance the work of each of these focus areas. With that, might you have any feedback or questions for me or my fellow co-chairs?
My question is more around the timeline. So again, for seeing an empty checkbox is just something that stands out to me. And so in terms of circling back to some of those things, when might we expect to get any updates?
Well, I think that Dr. Triesenberg is hoping that I'll come back at least each year to give you an update. And the work that we've shown is really part of our strategic plan. So our strategic plan goes to 2028. So we have had a phased approach on some of this work, and it will continue to move forward. We have committed leaders who are involved in this work and actively working on it on a daily basis.
Appreciate the clarification. So then next year there would just be more checkbox to add to the list.
I'm hoping that we'll see some good movement in the numbers, in terms of the goals that were set related to our metrics that I discussed. So yeah, each year we hope to build upon it. But as I mentioned, one of the things that we have to think about is that this is a roadmap that we have to be nimble with too. So we have to consider the factors that might be impacting us. Could we have another pandemic? I hope not, but that could move us in a slightly different direction. We've been very lucky with having state aid programs that have helped our enrollment stabilize, and I think may impact or lessen the impact perhaps of the enrollment cliff that we're seeing. We're also seeing a vibrant community where a lot of people are moving into our area, so there's interest here. And I think we just have to look to see and keep a mindful vision for what moves forward.
Appreciate that, and I appreciate all the work that has been done. And as the pandemic had us learn, mental health continues to be something that's closely tied to a lot of what we've seen since 2020 and much other factors. So just truly appreciate all the work that you are doing in this space, acknowledging that it is a heavy lift and that there are a lot of factors. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It's taken a village, and it's definitely great work.
I want to add a comment.
No, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Gonna do it?
You go ahead.
All right. I appreciate you two unpacking the life cycle of students. I think that is a lot of heavy lifting and seems like intentional work. And I was recently looking at a report that talked about the number of students that know right out of the high school gate that they want to choose a 2-year, and in particular GRCC. And then others that don't know until something happens in the fall and something happens and they don't go to the 4-year. So the question in it really is, I wonder about the marketing and enrollment tools that target that population too, that think they're going to the 4-year, but something happens and they don't. So I just wonder about that. And then the report went on to say that some go and then choose to come back to a 2-year. This one being the most predominant, and then some others. So I just wonder about the continued opportunities and intentionality around that. The other thing that I just wondered about, and I don't necessarily need an answer or a soundbite now, but when I was looking at the progression bars, one of my wonderings went to the check boxes and the arrows. I think I was wondering, the progression is based on the stated checks or the under subheading metric? Like, how are you moving that? Is it the big heading or the under?
It's probably a little bit of both, because what I have access to and you don't is that I can see where we are with each of our strategic initiatives. So, for example, one of the boxes might be 20% complete, another might be 50% complete. So just kind of averaging that along, and as well as knowing where we stand with some other initiatives that aren't necessarily related to our strategic plan. Related to your first observation and question, I would say that we do pretty aggressive outreach to students that are coming out of high school using SAT lists. And we also do a variety of other follow-up, like, for example, even if they've gone to another school, we kind of strategically send out postcards that are timed to either see if they're interested in coming to GRCC at about the November time period, or whether they would like to be a guest student here with us in an upcoming semester. So we've had good success with that over the last few years as well. And, we're always here with open arms to help our students. And I think one of the nice things that has come out of our branding is that message. Let's see, what is it? Bear with me. Together we've got this. So I think that is a great message to have out in the community too, because that just lets students know that we're here for them when they're ready for us.
I have a comment and a question. Just thank you, Dr. Triesenberg, and executive leadership team for, the board approves a strategic plan that's been worked on by incredible hard work from people on campus here. We see it, we approve it, and then this is beautiful follow-up that gives us granular examples of how we're advancing our strategic plan through the course of the year. So thank you for that. When I think about strategic enrollment, I think about the populations that we're not reaching. And a population we're not reaching, one of them, especially within the past 3-4 years, are males. Is there anything that we're doing specifically to reach males and talk about the importance of a 2-year or some training after high school, or are all of the procedures that you mentioned are we hoping to encompass males?
Well, as a matter of fact, your question is well timed because in the next week or so, we'll be meeting with my league to talk about just that. As you might have heard, Governor Whitmer has an initiative surrounding support for male students. And so we will be meeting with them and trying to figure out how we can partner to improve that.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now ask the Dean of the Lakeshore Campus, Cameron Buck, to come forward with a report.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of the Lakeshore Campus team a little bit about our students and our programs and services. And please feel free to ask me any questions along the way. So I just wanted to start with this slide about the Lakeshore Campus. One of the things that we often hear is when the campus opened in the fall of 21, a lot of people assume that was when GRCC came to the Lakeshore, and really we've been on the Lakeshore since 1989, decentralized up to 5 different locations. So deeply rooted in that community, but rapidly expanding. One of the things I wanted to talk about since the campus opened, we've seen a 53% increase in enrollment since fall of 2021. That's an increase of 357 students. So deeply rooted, rapidly expanding, looking forward to the future. Speaking of strategic initiatives, I just wanted to start with this Lakeshore Campus purpose statement, and I'll give you a second to read that. You'll see a lot of similarities to the GRCC mission and vision statement. You may question, why does the Lakeshore Campus have its own purpose statement? The strategic initiative that's specific to the Lakeshore Campus, the main tactic was determine the identity of the Lakeshore Campus. So after extensive time, the Lakeshore Campus team, through thorough investigation of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, developed this Lakeshore Campus purpose statement. Speaking of the team at the Lakeshore Campus, I'd be remiss not to mention them. Asuzena, Chanel, Dan, Danielle, Elizabeth, Jackie, Carrie, Christy, Monica, Rose, Yolanda, and myself. Whew, I was nervous I was going to forget somebody's name when I stood up here. I say cross-functional because this is a really cool example of silo reduction. In this picture here, we have academic advising, admissions, disability support services, financial aid, and professional support staff represented. So multiple different departments, multiple different reporting lines, but come together under one common purpose, the Lakeshore Campus team. That growth that we've talked about for the Lakeshore Campus wouldn't be possible without this team. When we talk about the Lakeshore, there's often questions, what does that mean? What area are you talking about? Here in Grand Rapids, we know we follow Kent ISD boundaries, very similar to in district. For Lakeshore, we also are mainly talking about the Ottawa area intermediate school district boundaries, which is all of Ottawa County, plus Hamilton and Saugatuck, which are in Allegan County. When I'm working with my friends in institutional research for reports, we pull about 19 different zip codes. So there is a boundary that we talk about at the Lakeshore. Just for comparison, that's about 46,000 K-12 students in this geography area. And for comparison, Kent ISD is just about 100,000. So less than half the size of Kent ISD. Sorry, class, am I pointing right at you? Okay. Next few slides are talking a little bit about our students. So gender distribution, perfect timing. You can see that the female is the blue, male in the grayish. Lakeshore campus, opposite of GRCC overall, was more predominantly male than female for the past 2 years. As we grow and expand and have offered more program offerings, that has come more in line with GRCC overall, 56% female. Age distribution, you can see that 18 to 20 is the largest. A key takeaway here for us is our trend data at the Lakeshore is showing that 18 to 20 is getting smaller. The 25 and older is growing more. So as we expand, it's not all coming from your high school population. That's a little foreshadowing for another slide that's coming soon. Ethnicity distribution, Lakeshore campus, 52% white, 31% Hispanic Latino, 6% Black African American, and about 5% Asian. This is similar and different to GRCC overall. Similar in the white population, GRCC overall, about 20% Hispanic Latino, 11% Black African American. Where we see how this is much different is when we compare this to the K-12 population in Ottawa County. K-12 population of Ottawa County, about 70% white, 18% Hispanic Latino, and then about 2.5% Black African American and Asian. So the Lakeshore campus, as we continue to expand, is also diversifying in our population of students. A little bit about the students. You can see some stats there on first generation, new students, returning students. We get this question a lot. How many students at the Lakeshore are actually from Ottawa County? About 71%. So we do pull from Allegan and also from Kent County. Degree seeking, part-time. And then what are they taking? What are the students? What programs are they in? English Composition 1, Anatomy and Physiology, Psychology, English Comp 2, Business Law, and then the top 3 declared programs for students, Health and Exercise Sciences, Business and Manufacturing. And then a little bit about our growth. This is just a 2-year growth window looking at number of students enrolled, class enrollments, billing units, and attempted credits. The blue is fall of 23, the gray there is fall of 25. As you look through that, those are increases of number of students enrolled, 47% in 2 years. The number of classes that students at the Lakeshore are taking, that's an increase of 57%. Billing units up 35%, and attempted credits up 34%. I appreciate everyone's conversations leading up to this. It was perfect setup for K-12 conversations. In a couple slides, I'll talk about some of our next steps. I wanted to share this Kent County and then next slide, Ottawa County market share report. So this is where our high school graduates going to college in Kent County. As you can see, Grand Rapids Community College, the #1 choice by quite a bit. About 6,800 students graduating high school in Kent County, 58% of them going on to post-secondary. So GRCC has about 15% of graduating high schools in Kent County as their #1 destination. Ottawa County. You can see GRCC is not #1. Grand Valley is. We're right behind in second at 250 students. Total number of high school graduates, 3,300. So we're about 7.5% of graduating high school seniors selecting GRCC in Ottawa County. So 15% Kent County, 7.5% in Ottawa County. One of the other questions we get a lot is people come in, they think the campus is small, only offers 3 or 4 classes. I've got to go to Grand Rapids to do everything. And we've been real intentional about trying to bring academic and student services to the Lakeshore campus that students need. So you can see from this list the different things that we do at the Lakeshore campus so students can complete as much as they can while on campus. So academic advising to admissions, to financial aid, to tutoring, food pantry, testing, and textbook. Lastly, also in addition to what programs and services, students often ask, what can I complete at the Lakeshore campus without having to travel to Grand Rapids? So Chanel from admissions did an awesome project, went through all of our pathways, all of our programs, courses to narrow down of our 12 pathways, which ones, what credentials from those pathways can be completed at the Lakeshore campus by a combination of in-person classes and some online courses, so essentially without travel. So we have 11 different pathways listed here. The number that you see behind the pathway is how many credentials from that pathway can be completed with a combination of in-person classes at the Lakeshore and some online courses. And then the last bullet point, the Michigan Transfer Agreement, those 30 credits that are designed to be transferred to a four-year institution. We have prioritized those. All of those can be taken at the Lakeshore campus in person. So what's next? Obviously, we've heard a lot. Enrollment is everyone's job. That is a focus for the Lakeshore campus to sustain our growth. The strategic initiative is academic and student services optimization. We just got some great survey results back. We surveyed our K-12 partners, our students, and employers to ask for gaps to help us determine future direction for the campus. We're continuing to look at the facilities as we expand. How do we better utilize the space? And then additional student services. You saw the slides about the K-12 market share. Building the K-12 pipeline is very important for the Lakeshore because we're not the #1 destination in Ottawa County. So looking at programs, dual enrollment, early middle college. Obviously, the non-resident tuition rate is a barrier for some of those programs because they're only reimbursed up to a state rate. So we are working with our foundation and other folks to find, creative ways to help offset those expenses. Even though we've been in the community since 1989, it's still very important to be involved in the community. Sometimes it feels like we're the best kept secret on the Lakeshore, so I spend a lot of time with our chamber, Lakeshore Advantage, our K-12 partners. We do a Partner Friday thing once a month where our team goes out to an employer or an educational partner, a community-based organization to spend the afternoon just learning about them, just to help us get out in the community. And then feedback from students and staff is about increasing sense of belonging for students. That looks like student clubs, organizations at the Lakeshore, and then staff, since we're from many different departments, more time for us to build relationships in and outside of work. This is an example. This is our last Partner Friday at Holland Board of Public Works. We toured. Mission Design that you approved Michigan New Jobs Training for earlier was one of our most recent Partner Friday visits. That's why I chimed up and said Ottawa County because I knew where it was at. But thank you from the team and from myself for all of your continued support and investment. Happy to take any questions.
Fantastic job. Thank you for all the information. And one curiosity is, in terms of enrollment and the increase, is there pretty close coordination between the Lakeshore and the campus here in Grand Rapids in terms of enrollment and admissions?
Yeah, the increases that we've had would definitely not be possible without the great relationships that we have. Our deans, our admissions folks, our advisors. I'm blessed to be able to call and say, hey, we'd like to offer another section of anatomy and physiology, and 99% of the time it's cool, let's make that happen.
Yeah, thank you for your work. Just wanted to make the observation, if you look for partners along the lake shore, I would suggest, if you haven't already, I know you're familiar with some of them, the building trade unions, some of those guys, what they struggle with is awareness by people who might want to get into a construction type trade or something like that. What they have a lot of is training dollars. And that's just a top of the mind thing that I would think is a place to look, at least in a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So you've had phenomenal growth in the last several years, and I'm assuming part of it is because of that beautiful building. Makes it more attractive to drive that and however you can see it, so it comes in front of mind. But what else can we do to help you on this path to success?
I think the big one for us is that K-12 pipeline, really looking at where our students going to be coming from. Like I mentioned, we're looking at the creative ways to help offset that cost for dual enrollment, early middle college. We have very willing partners in our K-12 partners to partner with us. So I think as we continue those conversations, that's especially important. Your support has been great. I mean, earlier you approved a one-stop specialist for financial aid position at the Lakeshore, which helps us continue to serve students and grow. So just continued asking questions and support. We really appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dean. And now moving to some monitoring reports, I'd like to call John Globoker to the lectern to report on financial policy assurance.
Glad to be with you again. So I see my role and our accounting and finance team role to provide financial assurance to you, the board, to our president. You are a policy governance body, and you have accountability reports, and best served through your policies. So you have policies that are structured in which, some of which say, the president shall not do these things. And so when I first started at GRCC, I thought, I need to become very familiar with the policies, not only the college policies, but the board policies, and to make sure that, what are they and what are the components, and then how do we serve the institution best through the accounting and finance area. So you have the policy, you also have kind of the boundary set up for the president and your employee. So my role, in including support from the accounting and finance team, is how do we provide verification, confirmation that we're in compliance. So that's critical, that through my lens and through the institution's lens, that we're able to say, yes, we're in compliance. We can verify that. So there's transparency that comes along with that, and then accountability for the institution as well. So within your packet today are 4 board policies that have a financial component to them, including the financial conditions policy, budgeting and forecasting, visioning, and board planning. So we went through those policies and lifted out anything that had a financial theme to it. And we then thought, okay, how can we as a department verify and provide you with evidence, confirmation that we are in compliance? That supports you as the board, it supports the president who serves in that role as well, has those boundaries. And so you'll see in detail within your packet my attesting to those confirmation, those verifications, be it through visual, verbal, a document, something that's found online. We have evidence behind us that we're in compliance. And if ever we were out of compliance, then we talk about it and how do we get back on board. But I'm happy to announce that through all the financial elements, through those 4 policies, we are in compliance. And that knowledge is able to help us build trust across the institution, through the board, through the president, through accounting, finance, and beyond. And then it also helps us to ensure financial sustainability as an institution. So just wanted to bring forward that information to you that is important to me, and then I know it's important to you, and then be able to provide that information and that confirmation.
Thank you for your leadership.
There, and ask if you have any questions or comments.
Thank you for your leadership and strategic foresight. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And John is also here to provide the monthly finance update.
Yeah. So included in your packet is the interim financials through January 31, 2026. Included are financial statements for the operating fund, plant, debt, designated fund, and auxiliary. Within that is also a summary of basically all of the variances, down to the revenues and expenses, so you can see in detail what we're tracking, some of the highlights. I'll pause there if you have any questions, but we're tracking well for the fiscal year, and we're really intent on understanding what's happening at all levels within the finances.
John, I just want to say thank you. This is normally how you report to us now. You break things down, you give us highlights on the general operating fund, property tax, state aid, state appropriation, and for breaking that down for us every time every month. Just thank you for that. It's beautiful.
We're good?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We have no report today from the Faculty Association, but we do have a report from the Campus Activities Board, and so I'd like to call to the podium Lacey Henry.
Good afternoon, members of the board and the GRCC community. My name is Lacey Hendry. I'm the president of the Campus Activities Board. Thank you for inviting CAB back to update you about what we've been up to and what we are planning for the future. Last semester, I discussed with you a reality that many students at GRCC face, a lack of belonging beyond the classroom. I talked about the need to create spaces that inspire students toward taking part in something bigger than themselves, to take part and celebrate one another as a necessary and empowering aspect of the community college experience. We are continuing our mission to increase the sense of community at GRCC. In the past month, we have refined, clarified, and updated our vision, values, and goals as an organization to help better lead our work to the outcomes that are important to us. As the keystone to our vision, CAB aims to create a tight-knit campus community at GRCC through planning and hosting free, welcoming events for students where everyone feels included, so that all students feel they belong at GRCC. As an organization, CAB values inclusivity, accessibility, collaboration, excellence, and being student-centered. CAB's values are threefold. We aim to create spaces through our engagement where people feel safe, respected, and at home on campus. We value collaboration between team members and the greater campus community, including working with other campus organizations and departments on events, civic engagement, and community building initiatives. And CAB values being student-centered in that we strive to always do our best to create opportunities that are what students want and need. We feel it's very important to give students what they want instead of just what we think they want. We do this by talking to students and getting their feedback through tabling, polls, and surveys. Time after time, our organization has seen the importance of placing the needs of our students at the forefront. By listening to student voices, we're able to put on truly impactful events that provide students opportunity for growth, fun, and engagement outside of the classroom while here at GRCC. CAB goals include the strive to be accessible for all GRCC students, dedicating itself to hosting events in person, online, and at multiple campuses so that all of our students can engage in a strong community experience wherever they are. and in a way they feel comfortable with. We're working to increase our marketing reach on social media, Raider Connect, and through tabling to get more students involved and increase student engagement. We strive for excellence in all we do, and it is important to us that we give students the very best interactions possible to create a positive experience for students and to increase campus engagement. In working towards these goals since our last update, we have assisted Student Life with their Friendship Gratitude Dinner, hosted a murder mystery night dinner here on campus, had therapy docs come to main campus during finals, held a final study session, and a Thanksgiving cookie decorating event at Lakeshore campus. These events reach students by helping them to form connections, have fun, relieve stress, and build a sense of community. Since our last update, we've also welcomed a new member to the CAB team, Alma Velich, who is serving as CAB secretary, and we're working towards filling our team out with 2 more members. This semester so far, we hosted a bingo event for Welcome Week on main campus, a goal-setting vision board making event at both the Lakeshore and main campus where students could create posters with images that keep them motivated for the year ahead. We participated in Student Life Involvement Day by hosting a table that shared what we have coming up and allowed students to ask questions and give us event ideas. And last week, at a collaborative event, we hosted a bouquet and card making event for Valentine's Day so students could share their appreciation for a valued friend or loved one, alongside the Black Africana Student Union, student government, and the Center for Counseling and Wellbeing. It was great for the students to see us all work together at the event towards a common theme of love, appreciation, and acceptance. Through this year, we have also been hosting our monthly Student Leader Town Hall meetings in partnership with student government. We had our first meeting of the semester on January 15th and will be hosting another meeting later this week. These meetings offer students a chance to get updates about what CAB and student government are doing, as well as share ideas, get questions answered, raise concerns, and all around make their voices heard. Finally, coming up this semester, we're hosting a Western night, which is this week Friday. We'll have line dancing, free food, music, cowboy hat decorating, and more. We'll also have our winter dance towards the end of March. And as a fun feed your inner child and bring a smile to your face event, we will be having a stuffed animal making event where people can choose a stuffed animal shell, fill it up, and sew it closed. Last semester, our therapy dog event was such a huge success, we plan to repeat this by bringing our furry friends back to campus twice for midterms and finals. Our final event will be a bath bomb making event at Lakeshore campus. In everything we do, we always aim to keep our goals in mind and at the forefront of our work in hopes of giving students the very best events and GRCC experience possible. Thank you.
On behalf of the board, just thank you so much.
I just want, I forgot how you're funded. How are you funded?
It's through the student activities fee.
That makes sense.
What therapy dog organization did you partner with for that?
West Michigan Therapy Dogs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. A lot of activities.
Yeah.
So I think we're in the home stretch here, so I'm gonna take a deep breath, right? Amy reminded me that, the last time that the board met was in November, so we've had a lot of activity between now and then, and so appreciate you all hanging in there with us. I will say this, though, before I go into the chair report here, that it could be a lot worse if my 2-year-old was still here. Right? But he's not, so. I'll touch on a couple things, and then hopefully we're near the end here. So Dr. Triesenberg touched a little bit on this earlier, but last week we did attend the Association for Community College Trustees, ACCT conference, and I joined Vice Chair Breinsma and Trustee Siegel, along with Dr. Triesenberg for that. And we advocated for GRCC and appreciated the strong preparation and materials of not just Dr. Triesenberg, but the team behind you as well. And it was amazing to just hear these legislators and representatives have such a positive response to GRCC. And so just know that when we were speaking, we really didn't have to advocate too hard because they already know how high quality of work you are doing here within the institution. At least that was my take, and I felt really positive about that. In addition to that, I just wanted to reiterate and remind folks that Dr. Rogalski begins her role with GRCC on March 2nd, representing GRCC at Achieving the Dream Conference, and she will be on campus starting on March 9th. We are excited to welcome Dr. Rogalski to the GRCC community, so looking forward to that. Dr. Triesenberg doesn't really know what I'm about to say next, but I'm just going to thank you. I'm going to thank Dr. Triesenberg for his work. It could have really been an uncertain time period for GRCC, but thanks to Dr. Triesenberg, your care, your passion, your dedication, and your patience to an extent, it was incredibly helpful and smooth. I know there will be other opportunities to thank you, but given that this is your last interim president board meeting, I know you'll join us next time, but in this capacity, I just wanted to have folks here please join me in giving Dr. Triesenberg a round of applause. I also want to offer a special thanks to the trustee and immediate past board chair, Dr. Brandy Lovely Mitchell, for her integrity, transparency, and leadership during a period of change. I'm grateful for the foundation you set, and I look forward to sitting alongside of you here. So thank you so much. Now on to the communications to the board. As it relates to communications to the board and in place of Trustee Williams, I would like to share that a student reached out to the board about the absence of prayer rooms due to the Learning Resource Center construction. This has been addressed and 4 prayer rooms will be available by Ramadan. Okay, here we go. Now we will open the meeting up for public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to address the board regarding any matter, you may do so at this time. Please come to the podium and state your name. I remind you that all comments are limited to 3 minutes and the board will not respond to your comments at this time. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amelia Haywood. I'm Vice President of Student Government. Thank you for giving me a short opportunity to speak with you all today. I just wanted to talk about tomorrow's a very exciting day for us. We have quite a bit going on. So we're starting our day strong. Oh, don't worry, I got images. With our Bay Goals event, we're trying to promote like what student government does, how to get involved, and we also, our application opens for students to apply for a position. So we're giving away free bagels to students, and we're also promoting the opportunity to apply, learn about what we do, all that kind of stuff. So goals that students have for the future, and who doesn't want a little bagel? It's great. And then after, we are so honored to have another event with Dr. Triesenberg. We have Putt-Putt with Dr. T, and we're very excited. So this is gonna, oh, sorry. Let me give times and locations because that's important. Our bagel event is gonna be first floor of the Student Center tomorrow, 10 to 1. So stop in, get your bagels. And then the next one from 4:30 to 6:30. It's funny that I have to look at this because I made these and it's like, how did I forget? But that's at the 3rd floor of the Student Center. It's like the Student Commons area. I'm very excited. Me and Dr. T have been talking since summer about who is going to win this, and it's a very big deal to me that I do claim victory in this endeavor. But again, I just want to thank all of you for all of the work that you do to support our students, and we put things like this on because we do agree as student leaders that as you were saying that enrollment is all of our job, I believe that it is our job as well, to make students feel like they belong and they're welcomed and they want to come back, and also that they're proud to be here, and that it is a great thing that we get this opportunity, and I just am very grateful to be able to serve in the position that I do. And I feel like I'm running close to my 3 minutes, so I'm just gonna say a couple more things, don't worry. And all of our student-facing events can be found on Radio Connect, not just ours, but all of the student organizations who are working tirelessly and putting a lot of effort into these amazing events that we have just to build community and make people feel like they belong. Because at the end of the day, just belonging and feeling valued, which unfortunately is not something that is always a given in today's world, is something that we want to make sure that every student has. So yeah, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. At this time, I'd like to invite trustees to provide any final board comments.
I would like to just echo what Chairperson Lopez said and thank Dr. Lovelady Mitchell for excellent leadership during the last year. Very well done. I'm very excited, Chair Lopez, for your leadership going forward. And thank you, John, in particular, your work. There was a lot of heavy lifting that we didn't see with all those reports today, so thank you for that.
I also want to reinforce some of the comments that were made, in particular about Dr. Triesenberg. We pulled you out of retirement, and not at any point during the tenure have you acted like this is too much or why am I doing this? In fact, I think you have stepped in very boldly and with compassion, and have given great care and diligence. And I think the initial conversations were, we want to love on the community and cultivate the land and make it fertile for the next person. And I think you've done that and more. And I think it is a tribute to the community that, one, they pulled you in and engaged you in the way, but you gave it back. You gave a lot of love and a lot of vision, and you anchored all of our values. And so I too just want to thank you for all that you did on the stage and behind the stage. We can't say enough about that, so really appreciate that. Thank you. And I do want to say this, and I want to be careful in how I say it to make sure that it is an honor, in terms of sometimes when you talk about a pioneer, like a first, in naming that it's a first, it might take away from the attributes of the person, and so that is not my intention. But I do think it is important to, again, amplify the story of an immigrant family, student of GRCC, coming to GRCC and becoming the board chair, and all of the things that you bring to it. It's a big deal to have your kids once see the first brown person, Spanish-speaking person of native tongue in the board chair. Seat in particular, and also lift up all the things that you bring to it in addition to the social identifiers. So appreciate that, and so glad that we continue to showcase how we're being inclusive because of your skill and all the other stuff. So excited. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to just buttress, echo what others have said about Dr. Triesenberg and add one more anecdote or example of his incredible leadership and how he hit the ground running. He attended his first and final National Legislative Summit in Washington, D.C. last week, his first and final. And he came with data and stories that illustrated that data. And he showed he showed 3 federal representatives and our two senators that the $43.7 million we get from the federal government is very well stewarded by this institution. And he brought receipts and stories to show it, and he was outstanding. So thank you for your first and final, and maybe we can bring you back for that next year.
Is it the gavel time? Let's go. All right. Thank you, trustees, staff, and faculty for joining us today. Meeting is adjourned. We did it. Hopefully you're able to do that. In addition to all of the work that you're doing.
Well, victory depends on the outcome of the tomorrow.
Oh, it's all riding on that.
I'll hang out for a minute.
Can we bring my home? Come back.
I'm gonna say hi to a couple people, so I'll be here for a minute. But, yeah.